I'm always looking for ways to show my cat how much I love her. And with Fancy Feast gems, I can pamper her whenever I want with a savory gravy on top of a gourmet mousse pâté. The pyramid shape makes serving simple, so all I have to do is peel and plate to make mealtime feel extra fancy. And with 2 entrees in every pack, it's easy to turn every day into the extraordinary. Fancy Feast gems.
And somebody was recently talking about like how there's a lot of people in Gen X who didn't come out until later in life. And I am 100% that person. I was 40. I knew since I was 9. I was in Catholic school from K through 12. I was taught very much that if I were to come out, it would have been a very high risk situation for a young person. And I was very scared of that. And so I didn't.
Hey, it's Meredith. Today's episode is a guest episode, and we're thrilled to have Alexis Croucher on the show. Alexis is someone who's been in our tactic universe for a long time. She's a member of Alex's Run Club, and she's worked one-on-one with our coach, Lindsay Martin, since 2023. She has a really admirable and relatable outlook on things, and that has come through years of hard work, both literal work, like what she does for work, and work on herself. She's a nurse practitioner who lives with her partner in Portland, Oregon. Specifically, she works in the trauma ICU, where she can support more vulnerable populations. She's worked in neurosurgery as an NP, and before that, in a burn trauma ICU as an RN. And before that, well, she was an actress in New York City. For real. She also met her partner on a roller derby team. I mean, how gay is that? She's a major sufferer of adult onset athleticism and has done pretty much everything from Olympic weightlifting to rock climbing to high alpine hiking, mountain biking, and most recently has found her way into ultra distance trail running. This conversation is really fun. We wander around a bit, which is impossible not to do when you're speaking with someone who has such a diverse and interesting set of life experiences. I really hope that you enjoy listening to this one. All right. Welcome to the show, Alexis Croucher. It's nice to have you. It's nice to see you. Let's do some geography. And I don't mean we're quizzing. Are you good at geography? Are you a geography person?
I try to be, but not from my education as a child in America, but as an adult who's like, wait, where are things happening?
Okay. Well, let's start with the easy one. Where are you located?
Currently in Portland, Oregon.
Is that where you live full time?
Which is on the West Coast.
Yes. Portland's very nice.
Which ocean are you
Pacific
close to? Okay.
What's the...
I got that wrong a bunch of times when I first moved here because I've grown up on the East Coast.
The reason I ask is somebody's like, well, what ocean is North Carolina on? I'm like, I don't know.
No, Alex, really?
Don't ask me questions like that.
Do you now know?
Pacific?
No. Oh my gosh.
No.
Pacific is West Coast.
I don't know.
It's the Atlantic.
Yeah. Atlantic City.
Yeah. Atlantic
New Jersey,
Ocean.
Atlantic Ocean.
There's really there's two options.
I was
really
just
for North
kidding.
America.
I was just kidding. I knew the answer. I was testing you guys.
Okay. Yeah.
Are you prone to Wikipedia rabbit holes?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you prone to Google Maps / Google Earth rabbit holes?
Yes, especially distance from where I am to where it is.
Yeah.
By not just by normal transport, but how long would it take me to walk there?
Yeah.
Is really important. And is there a path?
Yeah. Do you ever look at how long would it take me to walk to Nova Scotia? Are you that level of...
Yeah. Might as well.
Yeah.
If I'm going there, what if I wanted to walk?
That's
it
fair.
Could be a whole thing.
I often find myself looking on Google Maps at little the northern, the islands, the Arctic islands north of Canada. I'm like, well, what are these about? And then I find myself reading about these Inuit communities and these research facilities that are up there. And all of a sudden 3 hours have gone by.
Yeah.
It's a good way to be, I think. How long have you been in Portland?
Oh, golly, 5 years. Right now, tomorrow.
Oh, no way.
Years. We moved here in the early beginning, middle, what we thought was going to be the middle of the pandemic / end. And then joke was on the whole world.
Yeah.
That it went on for many more years, but we landed like September, maybe like the 20th or something like that. Yeah. 2020.
Nice.
So 5 years.
That's amazing. Congratulations. Where were you before Portland?
Rochester, New York at that time. I was working. Do you want to get me to get into it?
I would love for you to get into it.
Yeah, just jump into it. Okay. I was working as a nurse and finishing up my master's for nurse practitioner. And then 2019 was going to be like 2020 was my year I graduated. And then the pandemic hit. And of course it hit New York early and hard. And I was not in New York City, but we got hammered in upstate New York because of what I thought was because of we have a large amount of what's called skilled nursing facilities or SNFs, where a lot of like people live long-term. There's a lot of LTACs, which are long-term care facilities where people who are like chronically ventilated and chronically ill and like really susceptible and vulnerable populations. And so we got a very heavy first wave of COVID early on when we had no guidelines. I often like tell people that like we were, because I was finishing up my NP degree and we were like reading like anesthesia guidelines on intubation of COVID patients in Italian using like Google Translate, and like had this like kind of constant chatter about like, if it weren't for the existential dread, this is a very fascinating time to be alive in the medical field, right? Like really like coming up with like new protocols and trying to figure new things out and be creative. And how could we keep people safe? And also that we're working, but also progress the care of these people that were coming in sick, and like things that we know now or versus what we knew then. Like when we used to go get patients in the emergency department that we thought had COVID, like, cause all the ICUs flipped to COVID ICUs immediately. And I had been in a burn and trauma ICU previously, but like we would go and get the patients and someone would follow us the whole way and like wipe every surface with bleach.
Yes.
After.
Yes.
Like, and now you're like, oh, I mean, yeah. So that was at that. And then I was finishing up my degree and I was like, what do I want to do? I'm an NP. I've only worked in trauma ICU and burn ICU. Do I want to do something different? And I started like throwing darts at applications, and my wife, Kelly, really wanted to move to the West Coast. She felt really strongly. We had visited Portland. We really liked it a lot as a city. It was made a lot of sense to us in terms of outdoor activities and access to the things that we wanted to do outdoors. And I applied and got a job in neurosurgery. Oh, cool. And it was fun. But after 2 years, I found myself really wanting to get back into the trauma ICU. Yeah. And so then I took another job back. So same city, but just different hospital, and back in trauma ICU again.
Yeah. That's really cool. And we're here, obviously, like you work with us, you work with Tactic, you work with Lindsay, you're in Run Club, and we'll get into that. I don't want this to be a Tactic commercial, but if people are like, what are we having? What conversation is this? That's why. You have an IMDb page. I find that fascinating. What's up with that? And like,
like how many times have I been alive? I was an actor in New York City from like 1996 until I left in 2009, I think, if I recall. My memory is starting to fade a little bit. I had my first degree in college. I went to a state school in New York called Fredonia and got a BFA in acting. And I moved to New York City and I did the stuff. I did all the auditions and did all the grind that is a lot easier in your 20s and 30s. And I really liked it. I worked with a theater company called Labyrinth Theater Company, and they're called The Lab now, which is very easily Googleable. It's an incredible theater company. It's a very diverse theater company. They're telling the stories of the city, all new works only. I valued and cherished my time with that theater company. We were at the time housed out of the Public Theater in New York. That is the same theater that hosts like the New York Shakespeare in the summer. And I loved it. And then in my like mid 30s, I was kind of starting to be like, this is so hard. I'm always broke. I never know when my next paycheck's coming. It's really stressing me out. I had some like family stuff that was making me think like maybe I should like leave this. And it felt really like a huge leap. But at the time I was really big about like jumping first and making, gathering data later.
Yeah.
I've since changed that approach, but
I think you just gave Alex anxiety.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like kind of just up and left my life, in New York, and, at first like did a landing and got like a certificate to become an LMT and worked as a massage therapist. And that lasted maybe like 6 months before I was like, this isn't it. And I went to nursing school. And so I was living in as an actor. I guess the answer to the IMDb page is because I was working as an actor, and I shot a little bit of stuff here and there. And then the funny part is because like recently I just shot a TV show that's going to maybe come out this year, like just one scene, but it's going to be on Amazon, and Charlie Hunnam is the lead, and he and I had a scene, and it was all very like, you know, wow, exciting. Everyone was all up in arms about it. And, it was really fun. And I like, you know, played a nurse, which I was like, yes, this is like,
it's all coming full circle.
Yeah, 100%. Like 100% was the best thing ever when they were like, would you like to play this nurse? And I was like, yeah, 100% have been training for this job for a while in character. So the deepest method. Yeah. So that's why I have an IMDb page that is almost active again, but has been out of being updated for 15 years, if not longer.
Well, it's still really cool. With like movies, TVs, I know you're more theater, but do you remember, this was a question that we were asked, so I'm going to ask you, who was your first like gay crush on the television?
Oh, that's so good. I probably wouldn't have even known because I was so deeply like repressing my gayness from like age 9. But I like guarantee that I was like, it was like the combo of like looking at like tomboys. And now I'm trying to remember of like, cause it's that theory of like, do you want to be them or do you want to kiss them? Which is like very hot in the gay community too. Like, especially like we're always like, I don't know, did I like them or did I just want to be them? So I guess I would think, oh my gosh, there was this show, you're not going to know this because I think you're too young. It's called WKRP in Cincinnati. And it was about a radio show. And there was a like nerd on it. She wore glasses. That was how she was nerdy. She was very attractive, but she was like the nerdy kind of tomboy, you know, gal. And her name was Bailey something. And I was like, just jaw dropped every time she was on, and simultaneously watched Magnum PI and 100% wanted to be Tom Selleck.
Okay.
So if they could meet, that would have been it.
Yeah. Alex's question, her answer to that question was Zac Efron. So I feel like either y'all are on the same page or she's still dealing with some repression. Not really sure.
Zac Efron is a lovely lesbian woman.
He is.
Very beautiful lesbian woman.
Yeah.
Truly. Yeah.
There was like a lot of confusing. Sorry, I'm going to jump in for the first time. Did you ever hear of the movie Motocrossed?
No.
So this girl wants to do motocross, but it's a boy sport. So the brother breaks his leg. They're twins. So she cuts all her hair off and pretends to be him for the race.
Yes.
Deep plot lines.
It was. It wasn't so much of like, that wasn't like a crush, but that was almost like that's like where a girl can be like super, super sporty. And like, that's okay. But also not like you have to pretend to be a boy. I don't know. It was weird. And the reason for some reason, your question brought up that movie.
Huh.
I don't know why.
It's pivotal.
Yeah.
I think also the boy was cute. Kind of looked like Zac Efron.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's confusing.
Mixed signals.
I hope it all comes back to Zac Efron today. Just like constantly.
Just, he's everywhere.
I did see a video of him today hitting a golf ball with a golf club topless. And I was like, it's a good looking guy.
Alex.
But I'll be quiet now. Please go on with the podcast.
No, that is really good. Mine was Helen Hunt, if anyone cares.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
In what, like in Girls Just Want to Have Fun, Helen Hunt, or like Mad About You, Helen Hunt?
Twister.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, which
very good. Excellent, Helen Hunt.
Saw that super young, but yeah, she's in kind of a masculine presentation, masculine role. Super, idolized her for a long time, and didn't realize that idolization was really just like a crush. I just didn't know I was allowed to have a crush on Helen Hunt.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there was some meme I saw recently about the Coyote Ugly. Like if you watch this scene and didn't immediately know you were gay, then
I've seen that one before.
Yeah. I was like, that I didn't realize that was back there, and it's back there. How about that?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Let's talk a bit about. So Alex has Tactic Run Club, which you're in, and you authored this amazing testimonial that we actually sent out to our email list some time ago about that. And the quote and the piece that we included from you, I think, was in regards to a 50K trail race that you had trained up for. So I'm just super interested in, I guess, where did that goal sort of start for you, and how was that experience?
Oh yeah, that was an incredible experience. It started with, I think I'm Kelly and I, my wife, Kelly, we have May December. She's like 13 years younger than me, and it's quite scandalous for a lot of people, but not for us.
Yeah.
But when she turned 35, it was a couple years ago, and she, we were like, oh, we're going to do a run, and let's, mark it by doing a run, but 3.5 miles seems like something that we can reasonably do. Let's make it a challenge. So we did a 7-mile trail run to like 35 times 2. And that was, her birthday's in October and mine's in January. And I wasn't turning 50 at the time, but I was like, I think I want to mark my 50th birthday with like a challenging thing of that number. And so I was talking to Lindsay even about it, where I was like, I could do a 100-mile bike ride. That would be very challenging. Or something like I didn't know if I could handle 50 miles just because I hadn't done that kind of distance in a long time. Yeah. But I was like, a 50K, I was like, that seems really hard, but also there's people who know how to train me.
Yes.
And I'm already working with them. So I was talking about it a lot for probably in my head and with Kelly for like 6 months before I bit the bullet, which is for me a long time to make a decision. And I wanted to see what I could do to prove to myself that turning 50 didn't have to mean it was like time to start stepping down.
Right.
And if anything, it was a continuation and a step up and continue to challenge and do something I actually had never done before. Because anything I'd done in the trail was like not long. The 7-mile was very challenging at the time. And I hadn't done a marathon since I was a full marathon since I was like 28, 29. So same thing, like it was going to be a lot of distance in a new terrain. And I wanted to really approach it with some things that I had never done before. The biggest one was nutrition.
Yeah.
I had never trained with nutrition for any kind of endurance. And I have hiked and done tons of mountain climbs, and I have since reflected and realized how poorly, like under-eaten, whatever. I don't know how to say it, but like, no wonder I felt so tired. I had no food.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a real big decision to challenge myself in a number of ways, not just mentally, but physically. And then also part of the mental was to do something that wasn't just about trying to lose weight.
Yeah.
That was a big...
Huge. Did you, so you said you had some awareness essentially after you had experienced what it's like to be well fueled during an endurance event. There was it was, when you had done similar things previously, did you have any awareness that you might be underfueled, or was it really just like, this is how I normally feel, so you don't think twice?
I just assumed you're supposed to feel really horrible after like a 10-hour event. Like, say we would do because when we lived in New York, we did the high peaks of the Adirondacks and go and hike for like 12, 13 hours and bring like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and like something else, maybe like really, really not enough calories at all for the amount of time that you're out, and barely enough water probably. And then would just feel so horrible. And I just was like, I guess this is just what it is.
Yeah.
And I just was like, people who can do this all the time just are built differently. I was very like, I'm obviously just not as good, not as trained, not as like genetically coded for that kind of athletic adventure. Yeah.
And it's tricky because endurance is hard. Like even when you're well fueled, there are ways to make it feel really terrible. So there needs to be some understanding of what side of the line are we on? Like, am I in the zone where I'm making this hard because I have the capacity to make this hard? Or is it, hard because it's hard and because my like metabolic status right now is a little bit inappropriate? Did you have any resistance to doing a better job with nutrition? That's such a like elementary way to say it, but a lot of people do have this sort of like roadblock with that.
100%. This is, I feel like, where Lindsay should pop in and be like, oh, did she? I felt like we got like borderline. We never argued, but we got to the part where it was like, I felt like if she were in person, she would like put her hands on my shoulders and be like, girl, listen to me. Because I remember coming back from longer runs that at the time were like 6, maybe 7 miles early on in the training. And I would be like, that felt horrible. I was cramping. I thought I was going to like fall over. Like, I was so tired and miserable and I was tearful and I felt like I was bonking. And she was just like, time out. This is you not eating enough.
Yeah.
Like, bonking is undernutrition. Yeah. Like, that's what it is. And I really fought about it because I think even though I had started with the goal of like, I'm doing this for all these challenges and it's not about losing weight, because I had like really done all this effort to try and not be like constantly on the goal to forever lose 10 pounds. I was still trying to. So I was always still trying to come in a like heavy deficit of calories because I was tracking everything at that time. And yeah, I fought it a lot. I think I still fight it. I really do. I think I'd be lying if I didn't say that, because I still, it's such deep programming to constantly be like, you should be under calorie, like always in deficit.
Yeah.
I think too, like running is for a lot of people historically closely associated with like being skinny or weight loss or burning calories. And so when you're running, it seems almost counterintuitive to that, to fuel during. And for a lot of people in Run Club and just outside of Run Club, you almost have to, well, you need the client to come around to it slowly. But once you start realizing, oh, wow, I actually do feel a lot better when I'm running, when I do it, even though I don't want to do it or it feels like wrong based on like historical beliefs, it can really help shift to that performance-based goal. That's like a big key. And I think that, I guess, my experience with working with people and with myself, it almost transfers into nutrition outside of like intra-run intake. So like, I was curious, how did the goal of nutrition during runs and around runs impact, and even just seeing what your body was capable of when you fuel that way, how did that impact nutrition and body image and all that as a whole?
It, as a whole, I mean, it's just such an overhaul because, and we talked about it. I even remember during like one of the run club Zoom meetings where I was like, in my head, I kept saying like, I don't quote look like what I thought ultra runners are supposed to look like, because I still just look like me. And in my head, they're very thin. And I struggled so much with it. And even though I kept having excellent evidence week after week during runs, and like the first time I did the 50K, I didn't lift because I just focused on running, and I was a little like overwhelmed, and I just felt like, just do that. But the second one, I started doing 3 and 3 every week, 3 lifts, 3 runs, and having enough fuel, allowing me to like get through a day of like a 12-hour shift as a, and then at work, and then come home and do a lift or run home, is purely based on the fact that I've eaten enough. And like, that's it. Cause like I wouldn't be able to do it. I simply wouldn't. I would get injured. I got through the entirety of both trainings of 250Ks 2 years in a row without an injury. And I think that speaks more than anything to the nutrition component. The body image is, I mean, that's just the rest of my life. I'm going to be staring in the mirror being like, I love you. You're enough. You're perfect. Don't have to change anything, like doing all the heavy work on that. But like, just being okay with saying out loud too. Like I even last week I was at work and I said something about how my goal is to eat like 180 grams of carbs, and like the gasps that I got from my coworkers who were like, I'm sorry, what? And I was like, oh yeah, like during like right before, I'm like over 200. I know people who are in the 300 club, like, and everyone else is constantly trying to like under 100. That's the like programming. So I think it affected my mood overall. I was able to stay positive throughout training, even when I was tired. It also affected my personality and my mood at work. I was somebody who, I think all of us went through the intermittent fasting stuff, and not to say it's not a good tool for when you need to utilize it or anything like that, but my brain hungry is not good at critical thinking. And my brain hungry thinks about food. And I noticed it at work. So anytime I was trying to do intermittent fasting and I'd be at work and I'm like, just thinking about what can I eat? I'm like, I need to like, I'm in an ICU. Like you can't, like these people are too sick to be worrying about snacks. So I started adjusting all of my nutrition, the way that I was training, to now how I work. So like, I always make sure that I'm like having my calories for the day are like spread out throughout, so that I can like stay focused for, the next 2 hours and not be struggling. And it's completely overhauled how I approach stuff. And I feel like because of that, like my temper's longer and like, and I can focus better. And again, like I said, I have the ability to do stuff at the end of the day, which before I think I was just crashing.
Yeah. And I think it's super important to, especially for medical professionals and nurses, that it's easy to look at your job and think that doesn't count because it's not exercise. But it's like, a lot of nurses are, and physicians and, people who work in a variety of fields, you're on your feet a ton. Like you're moving around, you're doing critical thinking with patients, especially in like trauma and ICU. And it's like it's actually crazy that people can look at that and not be like, this is kind of an endurance activity, both mentally and physically. And so there's that. And then I have to think too, there's got to be some parallel or connection, like doing that at work has to make it a little bit easier to do it on the trail and on runs too.
Very much so. It just felt like very integrated once I finally accepted it. And I remember the run and like coming home and talking with Lindsay and like really feeling like I was struggle busing. And I was like, okay, look, I'm doing this. I'll flip, I'll change. I'll try and take in 30 to 60 grams of carbohydrates every hour. I was like, I'll do it. Fine. And once I did it was immediately, I just was like, I got to integrate this everywhere because it changed completely how I felt.
So I wanted to talk about mental work, the side in different areas. But I also, before that, I wanted to touch on what you just said about saying to Lindsay, like, okay, I'm going to do it. So when you first signed up for nutrition coaching and you started with Lindsay, what was if you can recall, what was what got the ball rolling? What got you to sign up? And then it sounds like there was some ambivalence or resistance at the start. And then how did you shift? Because we experience this a lot, and I get it. Like, change is really hard, and letting go of old beliefs is really challenging for a lot of people. What was it that kind of got you going and then finally got you to kind of shift to trusting a different approach?
That's such a great question. So like before I started working with y'all, I had been, as I said, like I'd always tracked my macros and my calories. I hadn't used a scale, but like I had always been tracking, and it was all estimated, et cetera. But I was constantly trying to be in a deficit. I worked with a different trainer on lifts, Olympic lifting, who was just, I feel sad because they were begging me to eat more. Like they were always like, what if you ate 2,000 calories a day? And I was like, sir, please, I'll stick to my 1,200. Thank you very much. Like, yes, my back is injured again. It's none of that. It's not connected. And it was, so I continued on that. And then somewhere around the time I was like 47, 48, I was just like, just furious, like enough already. Like, when am I going to just stop starving myself all the time? And I had been talking a lot with a number of my friends around the same age who all why are we worried about being so thin? And we started looking at like thinness in capitalism and thinness in patriarchy and thinness in like as a system of oppression, and like, why are we so obsessed with being thin? And we really got deep on it. You want to talk about a rabbit hole? We could be here the rest of the day of like why women are taught to focus on thinness above all, as opposed to anything else.
Yeah.
And why we should prioritize it, and how it pits us against each other, and how it keeps us from being a community and unified and lifting each other up for our strengths.
You can find that 8-hour podcast on Patreon next month.
Seriously, so ready to do it. So ready. I feel like Sherry's like right behind me, like, another thing.
Yeah.
She and I talked a lot about this offline. And so I was feeling very furious, truly furious about this. And I was like, I'm not going to track another thing that goes into my mouth. And so I started eating what I felt like was intuitively, in the sense that I followed my hunger. I have always, had a varied nutrition. I, blah, blah, blah. I felt like I was going to be okay with my fiber and vegetables and all that. And I did that. And I probably gained an easy 20 pounds. And that was very hard, because I really was sure that I was going to stay the same weight, if not lose weight, because my intuition would still want me to be thin, even though I was like fighting against it. The internal discord was chaotic. And so I gained weight, and I had been following you guys on Instagram for a while, and I was constantly like, I don't know. And then my father died, and he was very big on thinness. He was a big proponent of, if you are not thin, you've failed a lot, and you need to be fit and in shape and thin. And that's the number one thing that you should always be focused on. And as soon as he died, I was like, I have a bunch of stuff to grieve about him, and that's going to be one of them. And I think it's time that I start focusing on my nutrition in a different way. Let's dive in. So I jumped in and started working with Lindsay, and I do believe that I had a completely, I don't even know. I don't know what it was. It was dreamlike, because I was like, I'm going to start working with Tactic, and probably within 6 months, we'll give it 6 months, I'll look just like Meredith, Alex, and Lindsay, for sure.
100%.
Same, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, despite the fact that they've been lifting semi-elite professionally, or completely elite, but like, I don't know, professional, I don't know. But like, you guys are like heavy lifters for a decade. Like
2 decades. Yeah.
Yeah. See, like, you know what I mean? I'm like, you guys have been like competitively sporting for a very long time. And here's me coming in being like, I played roller derby for 10 years. I was a soccer player. I ran. It's going to be fine. I'm going to be super cut. And it didn't happen. And I struggled a lot, and we talked a lot, and a lot of our conversation, Lindsay and our conversations were about that, about like, what would it be? What would it feel like if I continued to challenge myself, accepted the pace that my body gave me in terms of shifting the composition, and found compassion and love, and did it through that instead of through punishment? Mm-hmm. And what would it be like if you just kept trying all of this stuff and didn't try to make yourself smaller always, and instead filled up some space, took up some space? And I think, I mean, I think it's still there. I think we're still working on it, but I feel like I got off course on the question, but I hit the points again, and I can tell you if I missed anything. But I think that was it. It was a real struggle.
It sounds.
I just, even from when she was like, "This is how much you should eat," I was like, "That's a lot. That's too much." You know, it was too much. Yeah. I can't. But I did, and I started sleeping better, and you know, lo and behold.
I think it gets to a point. It sounds like for you, and you know, working with other people, and I mean, this applies to other things in life too. You get to a point where you just get tired of trying to do the same thing that you think will work, and you build just this catalog of I don't like the word failure, but just not getting what you want. So it just gets to the point where like, hey, I'm going to do something different. And that final commitment is usually what it needs to kind of go there and trust a different approach. So switching away from nutrition a little bit, when you reached out initially about the idea of coming on the podcast, you mentioned that, and this is something we talked about on one of our Run Club calls. We work with a lot of our Run Club members are women, and they're a variety of different ages, but there's quite a few women who are 40s, 50s. We have some people in their 60s. And one of the conversations was around accepting ourselves as we age. And you know, what comes with age. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, depending, especially if you've been in a sport for a while, there can be a decline in performance. And when you mentioned Sherry, I've asked this question to Sherry a lot, like, if you knew that you would never run faster, would you still run? And it's the same thing with nutrition. Like, if you knew you could never change your body, would you still care about your nutrition? Like, what are the reasons why you should care about your nutrition, or you would want to? And same with running. Why would you want to exercise? And I think that shifting away from that ideal goal of getting faster almost needs to happen as you age. But there is a resistance to accepting it. And I think a lot of people fall into, well, I'm never going to get faster, so why even try? Or they lose the enjoyment. But I was wondering what your take was on that, and how you've kind of challenged that
to
issue.
find a new way to do it. Yeah, I think, I mean, being 51, being menopausal, like, there's so much joint pain that comes with menopause that we were all like, oh, that's what's causing all that. So that does start to limit some things in certain times of the month, and it shifts into ebbs and flows. But I think for a lot of us too, I've talked to a lot of people around my age that have a similar thing of like, in our 20s and 30s, we could change the way our body did things and looked very quickly. You know, like, I could lose weight quickly if I tried when in my 20s or 30s. I could get faster in a mile. I could lift more weight quickly. If I did some focus on it. And then as that starts to slow down, it's incredibly humbling. And the finding, like, what I had to do for it was a lot about finding out why. And I'm still working on this actually very intensely, but what drives my competition, sense of competition, and what is the thing that motivates me to be competitive with myself. Because, and this is all tied into, like, for me, it's tied deeply into the thinness and the whole thing that I was talking about, like thinness above all. And it's deeply wound into, like, patriarchy and capitalism is like, well, I want to beat someone else. Mm-hmm. And this exercise that I'm doing is actually part punishment, because I have to do it because of what I either ate or I'm going to eat. So it was all this, like, negative stuff for me that made my competitive spirit be very, not aggressive in a way that I like, because I'm an aggressive person that I think it's not always a bad thing to be aggressive, but, like, it felt aggressive towards other people, as opposed to just being like, oh, I'm going to lift that weight, I'm aggressively attacking this, or something like that. Like, I really had to start adjusting that. And then it was in my 40s and I was still playing roller derby. And at the time I had been, you may not know this sport at all, but there's a person who scores the points. That's the jammer. And then there's all the defenders and blockers. Oh yeah. And I was the jammer for about 5-6 years. And I was very good at it. And I could score a lot of points. And I was a very consistently good jammer. And then middle 40s started happening. And I was like, the people that were coming up in the sport were now, like, people who had graduated playing D1 sports and were like, well, now what the heck am I supposed to do? How many clubs are there? And they joined roller derby, and they're incredibly skilled and very good. And they look a lot like y'all and are very fit and strong and agile on their skates. And I was like, oh, I'm not really able to compete with them in my speed, but I still am really strong. So we're going to jump into blocking. And so it was the first time I started thinking about competition differently in terms of, like, it's not about beat that person. It's about work with my team to better our team, to keep this, to be a better, stronger team. And I really started, like, thinking about that a lot, and it started happening in running and in the trail. It used to always be about get in front of that person. And at some point I had to start remembering, like, you're probably not going to be able to get in front of that person, but you're here. Yeah. And you're running. Like, enjoy the day. Like, look around. This is your life. And I use that phrase a lot. And I don't always know if Kelly knows what I mean, but I'm like, when we're doing something, I just all of a sudden I'll take a pause and realize, like, that we're on the side of a mountain and the view is ridiculous. And we're on a bike somewhere. Like when we biked around Crater Lake, and I was just like, yelled out, this is our life. This is our life. This is what we get to do. We get to do this. Like this, I never in a million years would have thought that I could challenge myself to do these things, and finding celebration in meeting a challenge and celebrating what I was able to do has now started to surpass. I have to work out because I ate too much yesterday, or I need to be better than some other person. I don't need to actually think about other people now when I work out, which is really great.
No kidding. Yeah. I mean, that's a huge amount of mental work to get from. A lot of people never get there. Like that just is their mindset around movement, nutrition, like anything that pertains to their bodies. It's just in this hyper competitive sort of space, and that's just how it is. And if it can't be that, then there's almost like, well, I just need to completely disengage with it. And that's just, it becomes very black and white. Did you notice, like, with that shift, maybe did you feel some mental bandwidth open up? Like a lot of people that exist with that level of anxiety, really, because it kind of is an anxiety, it's pervasive. Like it's something that you just kind of think about all the time, and it can be very distracting from present moments. So have you felt yourself like present in different ways in your life as a result of that, even if it's not you noticing the way that your internal dialogue has changed around something like exercise?
Yeah. Yeah. Because even like when I was training for the first 50K, I was still like, if I started to have like pain or whatever during the run, I had a lot of IT band pain towards the end of my training, and I started getting really anxious about it. I would get really dark around that and feel very like, you're going to fail, like, and get into this like failure darkness.
Yeah.
And at some point I was like, I don't know, you're going to maybe walk the rest. And I don't even know why it flipped, but I just was like, so I guess that's how you finish, is that you maybe have to walk it.
Yep.
Okay. But you're still going to finish.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you're going to all of a sudden lose your leg. Like, you're going to finish. And again, like I started looking at like, I've been in therapy since I was 29, full disclosure. So like I have a lot of this work, but like one of the things we do is we start paying attention to patterns. And anytime I start sensing a pattern, I start looking at trying to get early and earlier to when that cycle started, and like catching the pattern at the beginning of like, as soon as the impulse hits, to try and decide, so I can choose how to respond versus react to the thing. And it started to come into working out or running or lifting, which it had never really entered into that space before, where as soon as I started to notice a dark feeling or a dark thought, or I'd start to have those, I don't know if anybody does this, of like arguments in your head, you know, I'm running and I'm like, and another thing, you know, and like, you know, so like, as soon as I start to recognize that I'm in an argument, that's a dark space for me and I'm not present. And I'll start to do the just simple, like even just like simple CBT things of like, see 5 red things.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like what's the temperature feel like? What's the air feel like on your skin right now? What do your feet feel like running on this ground? And just start to pay attention to external to get myself dialed into the present moment. And that has carried me into some beautiful spaces, I think mentally and emotionally, on longer runs where I truly have come out feeling like, I'll call a friend. I'm like, I swear to God, I feel like I'm on drugs. Like I feel so good right now because I just was so present for like an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. And it's like, holy crow.
Yeah.
This is life-changing. This is like mind-bending. And I didn't know I had the capacity to do that. And it also speaks, I mean, I have a lot of free time because I don't have kids. So
yeah.
I could do 3 hours in the
woods. Okay. This is a hard shift.
Okay.
But I also want to acknowledge that we really appreciate you sharing all of that. That deep work and where you've come. Because I know that there are a lot of people out there listening to this podcast and just in general who struggle with their nutrition, struggle with their mindset, struggle with accepting change, especially when it comes to aging as an aging female and the menopause transition. And speaking openly about it can be really helpful, especially personal experience and not just the science stuff. So thank you.
You're welcome. So
a hard shift to potentially another vulnerable-ish topic, but I don't know. I feel like it's been so long, like over 10 years since coming out, you almost tell it from like, it's not as raw to talk about. I don't know if you feel that, but for me, for like early on, it was like, oh my goodness, this is the most personal story I've ever told anyone. And now it's like, oh yeah, it's easy for me to talk about. Like, it's almost like a joke, weirdly, even though it was like a huge deal. So I was wondering if you wouldn't mind sharing your coming out story.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm so glad. It was, so I did read about this. I'm Gen X solidly, like 51, born in 1974. And somebody was recently talking about, it was something on social media that I recently got into again about like how there's a lot of people in Gen X who didn't come out until later in life. And I am 100% that person. I was 40. You know, I knew since I was 9. Mm-hmm. I was in Catholic school from K through 12. It's heavy gay is bad indoctrination.
Yeah.
So there was a whole like religious damnation that I was really struggling against. And also I grew up in a household that it was not only like not okay, but it was it was spoken very frequently about as a like horrible, disgusting, wrong, like they deserve what they get. Like, I mean, I was growing up in the AIDS crisis and like the things that were said about the gays, and I say the gay, my friends and I that are my age are always like the gays, even though we are the gays, but like we say it a lot. Well, like the gays like this, you know? So I don't want anybody to think I'm trying to other an entire group of people. I was taught very much that if I were to come out, it would have been a very high risk situation for a young person. And I was very scared of that. And so I didn't. And I just kept on pushing down. And then I went to New York. I remember I went to college and one of my brothers was like, "Psst, Mom, she's totally going to come back a lesbian."
Oh, no.
I was like... And I was like, how dare you? I am so not gay. I am not a lesbian. I just happen to really like kissing girls. Please stop talking about me.
It's not a big deal.
It's like those are the comments that you don't realize the closet extends that far back.
Yeah.
But it ends up getting deeper and deeper. Like there's more clothes to push through and go farther back.
In the closets.
Like you think you're at the back of the closet and then you watch a movie and you're like, nope. It extends farther.
Narnia.
Yeah.
That is the closet.
I was just going to say, it's literally Narnia. Yeah. You literally have to get through the wardrobe so deep and you're like, Turkish delights by all means. So like I didn't come out though. Like I was like, no, totally not. We're okay. We're fine.
So and you, sorry to interrupt, were you kissing girls at that time?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. I was constantly like, who wants to play spin the bottle? Joanna.
Helen.
Could not do it enough. Like so ridiculous. And then I even almost got married to a man. Yeah. Hundo. Was like really trying hard to like dial it in, but was doing this really wonderful thing of self-sabotaging by dating men who were like off the charts, outrageously horrible. Like at the time, like not that who knows what they're like now. Blessings. Peace be with you all. But like really bad on the scales of like not good people to be with for me at the time. And so that it was really nice because I realized later it was like a great way for me to be like, see, it's not my fault. It's, you know, they're just not great dudes out there. They're just not out there.
These are the options.
These are the options. It's not me. And so, I got all the way in, and it's so funny too, because when I was living in New York City as an artist, like you'd think like, right, like what a time to do it.
Sign me
and
up.
It was an incredibly supportive community. And like, I feel like they all knew as well. And we're just constantly like, whenever, like, here, have you met her? Have you met her? Like, what, you know, and they just kept trying. And I was like, And then I started playing roller derby. I moved to Rochester, New York from New York City to do all my like life change stuff. And when I was in nursing school, I was like, I need a sport. So I started playing roller derby. And at the time, it was early waves. I mean, exactly. Thank you. I was either going to go into like indoor soccer, softball, some sort of kickball league or roller derby.
Tag women's only football.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it was still early in derby too. So it was like a lot of, you know, I just picked it because I was like, well, I have tattoos and I like punk music, so I have to play roller derby. And so I started playing that, and like, there was a lot of immediate like girls coming out. Like every year there would just be like a wave of women getting divorces and like being like, well, I just met, you know, and like, so it was really interesting to see. And then second, third year in, my wife Kelly showed up, and she was younger than me, but I was just instantly like dialed in. Like she came to practice and I was like, hello.
Hey.
And she didn't talk to anybody. She was like working on her PhD. She was like very quiet, nerdy, introvert, like neurodivergent, like had her blue bicycle helmet on and like rented skates and was very good. Like she's a very strong athlete and can do anything right away. She's very good. And she came onto the court and I was just like, blue helmet, like immediately. And her nickname has been Blue since like forever. She's forever blue. And we were just started being friends and da 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 da. And then we started secret dating because, of course, right? Like she was completely out. I don't know, but I was like, nobody has to know.
This is going to be fine, right?
Yeah, it's going to be fine. Everything's fine. So we kept it all secret because she was willing to, and I was terrified. And then we, like stopped dating because she was like, this is ridiculous. And I'm, that's enough. And you're being mean to me and you're dicking around and being horrible. And so she left, and I was so immediately like, no, I really like her. Like, not only do I really like her, but I really got to do this. Like, I really want to be with her. And we talked one night, and she was like, if we get back together, it's got to be all in. And that means you have to come out. I am not hiding. I am not we are not doing this anymore. And I was just so impressed with her, like, integrity and how she knew who she was. And I was just like, okay, you're right. Like, this is the time. And so I went to my friends first and did feeler outers. And of course, they were all like, we know. And but they were great about it. They were really receptive and warm. And I had a really easy time with that. And then I went to my parents, and that was going to be really hard because they would not have accepted if it was any other day before then. And they said as such. And, my mother was very thoughtful and quiet, and was immediately I could see she was struggling with the boundaries around but when will you be physically affectionate with each other? And was kind of curious around what's it going to look like?
Yep.
And my father was really honest. And he was like, if you had told me this 10 years ago, I wouldn't have let you back in the house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm old and I'm tired.
Yep.
So I think I'm going to be okay with it. And he made some weird joke, but we don't need to get into it. But it was a thing. And then I had to come out to all three of my brothers. And, of course, the one that was trying to pull me out was like, yeah. And then everybody else was eventually I think they were great. I think everybody received it as welcomingly as I could have ever hoped. No one cut off my relationships. I have a family that talks to me. I am in no way under the threat of losing family or violence, but it was, I think, only because if my family's listening to this, they're gonna be like, no, but I think it was only because I was the age I was.
Yeah.
If I had come out when I was a teenager and I knew, I can't promise that my father would have let me back in the house. I mean, he said as much, so I have to believe him.
Yeah. So, I mean, your assessment of your situation at that time was accurate, which is super unfortunate.
Yeah.
That sucks. But
I think that was it for us.
Yeah.
Those the earlier generations. And then, after that, it was self-actualization time. Because then you're just I'm gay. I'm out. I'm finally living myself. And I was I have to get sober. And I quit drinking and blah, blah, blah. And I was went back to grad school and I got my nurse practitioner. And I was just I couldn't stop self-actualizing after that.
Yeah.
Just because I finally was being me. And I think that's also the stuff about trying to change mindset and trying to change, why do I do the things I do? Why do I want to be the person I want to be? Do I want to be this thin femme person, or do I want to lean heavy into the person that I am? And it took a long road, but I do believe that's part of what I have been continuing to explore with Tactic heavily.
Yeah. I mean, that's, once you come out of that closet and once you accept that part of your own identity, because there's, it's hard to accept yourself when you're not open. There's some part of you that knows you're I'm hiding this because it makes me feel safe, but that there's a psychology there. And once that's gone, once you let go of that and accept, there will be people who accept me and there will be people who don't. And fortunately, it sounds like your family is accepting now, or was when you told them at the time in their way. There are still people that don't accept you. And you kind of just have to be yeah, well, that's going to be how it is. And that's going to be the case whether you're gay or straight or trans or white or brown or yellow, like that's going to be the case no matter what. So it's kind of like once you do that big one, you're like, this is the one that I thought would really hurt me, and it didn't. So let's do some more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. That's exactly it.
You're not just keeping one part of you in the closet. When you say, not you, the gays are in the closet, like the whole person is there.
Yeah.
And when you come out, the whole person comes out. And I experienced that. It's almost like sometimes, you know, for so long I didn't want to be gay because I was worried about how that would impact my life and if people would accept me, if it would be harder and like what people would think. And you realize that it's almost like a superpower that straight people don't get and don't have. They don't have that trigger for self-actualization. That thing that Meredith said,
that's
that
exactly
you get rid of that fear of like, what if people don't accept me? You kind of face that head on and you're like, it's actually fine if people don't accept me. It actually makes me like more wanting to be myself in a way. And that's a really cool feeling. And I'm sure that's not everyone's experience, but it sure was mine. It sounds like for you it was. And I know for Meredith in a way it was as well. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of something to celebrate.
I mean, Kelly and I were talking about that last night, that we were like, somebody said something about like, why do you like or trust gay people more than straight people? And we were like, because we know that they've already had to like work hard enough to come out.
Yeah.
Like they've already had to go through some questioning of themselves. Like I know some people who like came out of the womb and were like, I'm gay. And everyone was like, we know, and we love you. And like that happens.
Yeah.
But like, there's still reckoning that needs to happen throughout that, where you have to continue to walk into spaces that were not intended for you. And I'm a white woman. I'm very clear of my privilege, but like, and the systems that support me and that I support, but like, you have to do some reckoning if you're going to say I'm a gay person and believe it and own it and walk it and live it and be out.
Yeah.
And not hide, you know?
I mean, there's tons of, you know, non-sexual identification closets out there. Like people are in closets. They didn't even realize like how many women are in the, like, I'm a skinny woman closet, even though I'm like, your life would be so much better if you released yourself from that bullshit, because you're not a skinny woman and that's fine. You're going to be way happier when you accept that about yourself.
Yes.
And just be the person who you're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people live in like career closets.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it just extends to every facet of life, but
yeah, I was supposed to be a famous actor. Are you kidding me? At least a working one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's really flattering to hear that your work with us and your exposure to us has helped, like, with the continuation of this work in any way. Like, that's always kind of like the highest compliment to us.
It's huge.
I try to be, and we try to be like the people that we needed.
Yeah.
And I think that is super helpful. I mean, I help myself sometimes. Sometimes what I put on the internet is like what I need to hear. And it's just like,
your timing is impeccable. And I often am like, how did she know?
Oh, yeah.
But I was thinking about that.
Yeah, weird.
I have a lot of magical thinking stuff that I'm like, I'm sure that this is, she knew.
This is cosmic.
I think, yeah. And I mean, like, even the one, I told Lindsay about this last week, like, I can't even remember. I watched it briefly and I was at work and I actually started crying. It was just because of what you were saying. It was so, I wrote it down and I can't find the note right now, but like, there's so many times I've connected to what you guys have been saying in the podcast. And it's like going beyond, it just goes beyond the like label of fitness and nutrition and goes into the space of like being your most authentic self and living in authenticity. And that is such a huge, that's a hard thing. And that's the closet, right? Like those are the closets of like not being able to live as your authentic self because you're trying to please people, because you're trying to like be something that you thought somebody else thought you should be, because you thought you should be. And I think for me, like, a lot of that is part of the menopausal stuff, but like of just finally like, let it go, like release it already. Like how many years do we have to keep doing this? And when can I be in charge of the lens and the framework that I choose to look through the world at, as opposed to the one that was given to me.
Yeah.
And I do believe that a lot of what the work that I've done with your crew and with Lindsay specifically has just been so much about that. It's constantly about like, well, what if we think about it in a different way? And what if we just shift our thinking just a little bit for a second and take a pause and maybe get a little curious?
Yeah. That's awesome. I think that's our goal in the space. Like, there are so many people who exist in the fitness and nutrition space that look like us, that wear bodies that are similar to us, and they're just turds about what they do, and they misrepresent it. And so, we do our best to be honest with it, to be gentle with it, to not scare people. Like, we're not here to make money on people. We're just here to help. And that's, it's amazing.
I never felt like you were selling me something that I couldn't achieve.
Yeah.
And I have given so much money to the fitness industry and to organizations and things like that of various things that guaranteed a flip, a 100% flip of like, oh, and now if you do this for 21 days, you will come out looking like this person that's genetically completely different from you. Yeah. But like, you'll look just like them.
And just like sold.
And sold. And I've been like, yes, sign me up so many times. And I think that's also one of the reasons I delayed so long on signing up with you guys, because I was like, don't do it again. And I was like, really make sure, really follow them closely. And it was Europe. I mean, for me, like, like once I was in grad school and like heavy in evidence and all of that, I was just like, I'm never going to do something that's not evidence-based again for that. And like once I started following you guys and you were like, here's a paper. I was like, I'm sorry, what is that? That's PubMedable. Like, I can follow her. Like, she's doing evidence-based practice over here.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, they want to be told what to do and they think that they're just going to do it. And some people do, and it works for some people, but for most, they don't do it. And even if they did, a lot of those promises are empty. But because I remember somebody told me a long time ago, like macros, like figuring out what someone's macros are, that's easy. It's working with the human. And I think I'm so proud of what you said about the way that Lindsay's worked with you. It's not, okay, Alexis, this is what you need to do to get what you want. It's, hey, let's take a different approach here, or let's think about this in a different way. And it takes, I don't know, at this point, probably thousands of conversations of getting posed different questions. Like, our coaching isn't, I would say probably more than 50% of my messages to clients are questions and not statements. And that's what coaching is. It's opening up like a different way of being and exploring and being curious. And that's, it's just cool to kind of hear that reflected back, and that's, what you've found value in. And that's really cool. Of course, there's like guidance and support, and like we help with science.
So much guidance.
But you can tell someone like, hey, consume 80 grams of carbs every hour during your run this weekend, even though you've never ever taken in carbs during your run. Like, that's really lazy coaching. Yeah. You don't even know that the person struggles mentally with consuming anything during their runs, or even consuming that many calories in a day. So it's it's a cool process, and it's fulfilling as a coach, but it's so nice to hear it reflected back. So thank you.
Yeah. There's a piece, I know that we're probably, I don't know what your time frames are, but like, I just wanted to speak quickly to this about the menopause thing of like, and the competition spirit that you just reminded me of, that Lindsay and I've been talking a lot about, is that like, previously I would never quit a workout and I would never slow down, and I would always push further because of the punishment concept and the trying to beat some person that was in my brain that that they don't know. They didn't know I was competing with them, but I was competing with them. And when Lindsay and I started working differently about like approaching the completion of a workout as being, it's okay if it doesn't get done, I still would finish things, but it was allowing me to, like, specifically with trail running, because it's also kind of necessary if you're going to start going bigger distances, is what if you slow down? And she helped me start to recognize places where I could give myself some compassion around these workouts. where I had never done before. And now we're kind of like redirecting it because I was getting so compassionate that sometimes I'd be running and it was hard and I was like, I quit. This is dumb. I stop.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why I'm doing this. And like, but I was like, no, I still want to finish, but I really, my body does not want to. I am tired. How do I balance being tired and also challenging and all that? But like, that's part of the flip of, for me in menopause, was how can I continue to commit to my physical health and feel good in my body as long as I can and not quit when it's hard. And also dial it back when it is. Yeah. And maybe you need to some days.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And it doesn't mean you failed. And it doesn't mean the failure police show up and take away your, I don't know, whatever. But that has been a big thing about the menopausal stuff, is just like, where is the space between letting go of all of the pressures that we put upon ourselves to do stuff and celebrating doing things for ourselves? Like it's so much more complicated than I expected it to be.
Yeah. I think it's like, if you can't have curiosity during that phase, like you're going to suffer more than you need to. And it's kind of like,
'cause it's super disappointing.
Yeah. But so it's like, if the options seem like they're like, go or stop, maybe the question that, we need to be willing to ask ourselves is something along the lines of like, I wonder what it would feel like if I did it this way. Like, I wonder what it would feel like if I did this. And it's not even like, I wonder what it would feel like if I backed off. It's like, I wonder what it would feel like if I ran a different pace, or I wonder what it would feel like if I used these lighter kettlebells instead of the heavier dumbbells. Like, I wonder what if. And that's like, I think if we can like hold on to that. I mean, honestly, like in a lot of areas, but certainly when things are feeling a little more challenging than normal, it allows you to kind of own that narrative. And like you said earlier, like hold the lens, versus just feeling like you're kind of, looking down at yourself from a third person and you have all these reference points from different parts of your life. And but and even that, it's like, okay, well, I tried that and I didn't really like it. I wonder what it would be like if I did something different. Like it's just kind of constantly being willing to flex and adjust and,
Yeah. The shifts your body makes during menopause can be incredibly disappointing. So it's like, the only thing I encourage people that are younger than me is constantly like, learn how to manage disappointment, because getting down on the ground, that was one of the first things I wrote down when you were like, what's it like to be an aging athlete that's menopausal, that was not elite? And I'm like, burpees, like getting down on the ground, Turkish get-ups, like being able to like get up and down off the ground is really hard now. And it never was a problem for me. Couldn't wait to do more burpees in my 30s and even into my 40s. But like 49 to 50, 51, I'm like, oh my God, I'm 5'4". It's so far away. Yeah. The ground is so far. But it's disappointing.
Yeah. But it's do what you can, because there's so many women who are like, you know what? It's like puberty. It ends eventually. And then a lot of those symptoms and feelings and side effects, they go away. So it's, you know, you don't want to like white knuckle your way through it. And I'm not an advocate of that, but don't give up.
But just like being able to learn to manage those like complex feelings. Cause it's also like the symptoms go away, but you're still getting older. Yeah. And like I say, this is dark and I'm going to throw it out there. I don't care. Once you get to like a certain age, there becomes this like, you get like a pie in the face of, I'm going to say it, I've lived more years than I will live. Yeah. And it is deep. Yeah. Like, that is a heavy weighted blanket that I cannot tell you the shock that it brings. And like, it's also, there's comfort there. Yeah. There's ease, there's peace, but it's scary and it's terrifying. And so there's also this feeling of like, okay, well, my symptoms of some things are going to go away, but I'm still getting older and it's only going to get harder to be a human, just physically, and like, I really love what you guys are doing because of the people that are younger who are starting to like strength train now. I'm like, amazing. We're going to have this army of women with like dense bones who can like continue to lead the world versus like my age and above, like my mother's 83 and she still wants to every now and then talk about trying to lose weight, you know? And I'm like, Mama, please.
Yeah, no,
like,
that's not. Yeah.
we don't want to lose weight anymore. But like, so it's just that, like, we want to try and keep ourselves moving naturally through the world as long as I can. That's like my goal is like, I want less assistive devices as when I'm older. And I want to be able to move naturally through the world without injury for as long as I can.
Yeah. So my last question kind of on this topic for you is people are going to listen to this and I know this because people have already talked to me about running 50K for their 50th birthday after reading the email that we sent out with your testimonial. People are going to hear this and say like, I want to do something big for my 50th or 40th or 60th, whatever it may be. And maybe it's 50K, maybe it's a 100-mile bike ride. What's your advice, given what you just talked about on it being harder as you get older for many different reasons, when someone's training for a marathon or a 50K or even a half marathon or a 10K and it's hard and they're quitting a long run halfway because it's just overwhelmingly hard. They've got life stress. Like people at this age often have young kids who have a lot of sports. I mean, we can go into it. People who are listening, they know, you know who you are.
Yeah.
What's your advice? What's your advice when it's so hard and like maybe the goal is becoming out of reach or it's just becoming very defeating feeling? Like you kind of talked about accepting disappointment or being good at that. But what would you say directly to people like that?
There's a couple different things. Number one, all forward motion counts. So you get to adjust your goalposts. Like you want to do a 50K, number one, get a train, like find people who know how to do it and can help you through it. Like find someone that can actually help you. And it sounds like these people are already working with you. So there we are. They've checked it off. But number two, you're in your middle of your runs. It feels like you're never going to get past it. You're really disappointed. You don't know if you want to try and do this anymore. Okay. Just like take off the pressure of it and see what happens next. Like allow yourself to say like, okay, well, maybe I'm going to quit. I don't know. But like, what happens if you give yourself like A, a good night's sleep, B, like a snack, 3, like see what happens the next day. What happens when you go out again? Because those feelings in the moment of the disappointment that you feel in the runs, feels like it's forever. It's the last minute on a treadmill. Like it feels longer than it is. Can you say to yourself, this is how I feel right now. And that's totally valid. And this, fucking sucks. And I don't want to do this right now. And if I still don't want to do this tomorrow or the next day, okay, let's readjust. Let's move the goalpost. Let's say a 25K. Let's say a 0K. I don't know. But like Jill asked me this too, because I went through that as well. And she was like, what's your why again? Why did you want to do this? Like, why did you want to run a 50K? Who cares about a 50K? Why'd you pick that?
Yeah.
And it was just back to me, like, oh, because I wanted to show myself what I was able to do. Just me.
Yeah.
Nobody else. I wasn't trying to like, I don't know. Like, I really thought for a long time I was always going to be like, I could probably be an elite athlete if I tried hard enough. Like I had that like crazy brain that had no humility.
We all have it. Trust me.
Yeah. So like there's a period of time when you're like doing sports and stuff like that. I think for me where I was constantly like, and then I'll become this like really elite athlete. Never happened. But like, so when you're doing like the 50K, I was like, I'm not going to win. Like this isn't about like podium, like getting on the podium and all that kind of stuff. I'm doing this literally to see what I can do. It's a folly. It's life. It's like, find the humor in it. Try and recognize that it doesn't have to be that serious. Like let go of the punishment, let go of the seriousness. This is for fun. We still just are doing sports because sports are so fun. And it's a great way to like live life and commune with your people is to do sport.
Yeah.
Or sport. Yeah. You've already found a coach. Don't take yourself so seriously. Feel all your feelings in the moment. Cry a whole ton right then. Like wicked cry. And be super disappointed. Yeah. Sob open mouth with snot coming out. while leaning against a tree, but not like I've done that.
Watch out for steps.
A lot of times. But like super duper feel those feelings because they're deep and they're profound and they're worthy, and then see how you feel after you let them all go.
Yeah.
I did have a client, and I'm not asking specifically because of her, but I have many people who've struggled in this way who said that they didn't finish their run this weekend because they started crying at 8 kilometers in. And then I saw on her Strava that she did 13 kilometers. So I was like, I mean, you didn't finish the run, but you did 5 more K after weeping, which I think is a big win.
I think so too.
Yeah, and I think adjusting the goal, or even, not having a goal, it's great to have goals. It can be very motivating, but like sometimes in certain seasons of life, it's not the best time. And maybe the goal, not having a goal, the goal doesn't necessarily need to be a race on a specific day of a specific distance. It can be like just running and taking the pressure off, and you can still have a coach for that. You can still progress, but figuring out like what feels good in the season of life is really important. But that's all super helpful to hear. I mean, it's hard to know how that feels when, we're us and we're younger and we've been doing this a long time. It's hard to relate in a certain way to women or men even who are struggling with that process and that time of life. So thank you.
Yeah.
It's been really, really great getting to talk with you and spend some time today. So I think I speak for Alex too when I say thank you so much for being here, and then also being in our community, being active in Run Club, being just a really great example of personal growth and not being afraid to put that out there. The great parts, the messy parts, the human parts. So really appreciate that.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you for saying that. I love it. I always felt weird about being like, no, I'm in this Run Club. None of us live near each other, but like, it feels so strong. And like the community of Tactic feels really strong. And the Run Club feels strong. Like when I finally got to meet Sherry in person, are you kidding me? Like just after being in the same community with hers a couple of years, and like Lindsay and I joke, like, I'm like, someday we're going to be in the same town. But like, it's a great space. And I also appreciate you all not being, feeling fragile or weird or off put by my incredible amounts of vulnerability, because that's just sort of who I am. I'm very like ugly parts first. You'll find out the funny later. And I think it's important because I think it also makes us realize that we're all the same, man. Like we're all very human and everything hurts, and we're all really scared and self-conscious, and we want everybody to like us and love us. And we're afraid of getting hurt, whether it's by ourselves or others. So
yeah, friendships and
talk about it.
Relationships that are where we connect through like only the beautiful parts of our life. Those don't last very long. Those are not good.
I have a big thumbs down.
Yeah. Do not recommend.
Yeah. And I also and again, I know it's I have the t-shirt that says it, but like, that was the other part about, the goal stuff. It's like the effort over the outcome. Like this was the first group I felt very strongly about, like, we're just here because we enjoy the effort, and it's okay to like efforting. It's okay.
Yep.
Like it's a fun thing to enjoy.
Yeah. And it should be enjoyed. So, I know you're not big on the internet. If people wanted to find you, can they? I mean, IMDb.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, definitely follow my IMDb for all the new stuff of me playing a nurse named Pam in the show Criminal that's going to be on Amazon.
Okay.
I don't know when.
One day.
Yeah, I want to have everybody do a hashtag that's like bring back Pam, or like we want more Pam when I come out, so I have like more episodes, because I literally am on like a 2-minute scene. I'm on Instagram, trying always not to be because of the doom of the world. But also there's good things there. And it's just my name, Alexis Croucher. I think it says Lexi Lane ate it all because I like eating. Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. I have probably a health grades as a nurse practitioner, but I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
don't come to, I hope you're not in my ICU. I really hope you're not in a trauma ICU. Don't come to my work.
Yeah. We'll let people find you how they find you.
Yeah.
Hopefully in the woods. Hey,
yes.
You recognize your voice. You have a podcast. Were you on a podcast? That. We get that sometimes, so you might be careful.
I would I would be like, oh my God.
Sorry.
It's finally happening.
If there's snot, I was just doing an open mouth. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. I would be like, do you want to cry together?
That's actually what I'm here to do. Let's join. We'll have a wailing circle. Do you have
Group
friends?
crying. It's powerful.
Yeah.
Grief hygiene. I didn't talk about grief hygiene, but next time.
Sounds like there needs to be a part 2.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again. We appreciate your time so much.
Thank you.
And
thank you so much.
We'll see you, Alex. We'll see you on some run club calls, and hopefully we get to cross paths sometime in person.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for all of your efforts. And I mean that seriously, in the full spectrum of it.
Yeah. You're very welcome.